week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller Recruiting in Yoga Pants. We have all the dogs in here, so it should get noisy in a minute when they start fighting over blankets and stuff. All right, so this week I have once again ruffled feathers on the internet. One of these days I'll learn. So, fun fact about me. I don't know if y'all knew this, but when I was in grade school, I desperately wanted to be a cheerleader. True story. I know. I am the least likely suspect to be a cheerleader, I think, but especially where I grew up and how I grew up. Y'all know the story. But I really wanted to be a cheerleader. And so I spent the entire summer between 6th and 7th grade. So in my town, 7th grade was the first year of junior high. And so 7th, 8th, and 9th were all at the junior high. So there was a bunch of elementary schools in my town, and then we all went to the one junior high in my town and then the one high school. So anyway, I spent the entire summer, me and my best friend, studying and practicing and teaching ourselves routines and coming up with routines and just doing everything we could to prepare to be cheerleaders. And I tried out in the fall of 7th grade, and I did not make it. Friends, I was rejected for my dream job. Okay, my 12-year-old heart was shattered into a million pieces. But the funny thing about this rejection is that I was told that I had done a good job and I could have been a great cheerleader, but I was too quiet. Which, 40 years later, 35 years later, it's hilarious that someone would accuse me of being too quiet. I can't believe it myself. I still don't think I'd be a good cheerleader, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the point is, I thought it was kind of funny that every week I get in trouble for being too loud and saying too much and being rude to people, not intentionally. And yeah, y'all just don't know. There was a time when I was very quiet. I know. I can't believe it either. Okay, so here's the big idea for this week. I want to talk about recognizing bad advice on the internet. I have the whiteboard. So shit's gonna get serious. Here's the thing. There are so many coaches and experts and resume writers and influencers and top voices and whatever. They all call themselves different things and have earned different titles, whatever. And I really believe that these people believe in what they're selling you. I don't think I've come across anyone that is intentionally like, whoa, I'm gonna screw over job seekers. I don't think that's at all what's happening. I do think, though, that sometimes they are maybe misguided or a little blinded by a narrative that they've decided to pick up on and are inadvertently hurting job seekers. That's my stance. I refuse to badmouth any particular person. I'm not going to say, oh, that guy's a bad guy, or oh, that lady's a terrible person. I don't believe that's true. I think these are probably decent human beings with families and careers and hopes and dreams of their own that they're just trying to accomplish. I get it. But I think the message is just bad. And I think in some cases it's harmful. And that's where I get riled up and start running my mouth on the internet and remember that once upon a time I was quiet. I couldn't be a cheerleader. Anyway, so I wanted to give you some thoughts. I've come up with 3 tips, 3 things that I want you to think about as you're reading advice on the internet or wherever, as you're thinking about, should I hire a resume writer? Should I work with a career coach? Should I separate myself from my money in exchange for some kind of service? Sometimes this is a great idea. Sometimes you need that extra lift. Sometimes a third party can give you context or perspective that you don't have, and they are well worth the money you're spending. I believe that is true. I believe that can also exist in a universe where some of these so-called experts are just flat out wrong. So how do you determine which one is right for you? This is the key, y'all. All right. I have my opinions. I have my thoughts and advice and ways that I think things should be done. You should not listen to me if my advice is not working for you. So the number one thing that you should run this advice through, and I'm including my own, okay? Does this person have actual expertise in the area that they're claiming? Number one, okay, if somebody, and I'm just gonna pick on recruiting because that's what I know. That's what my expertise is in. Please do not listen to me if I try to tell you how to install a security system, because I don't know anything about that. I mean, I couldn't even get my Ring doorbell installed. Like, it still doesn't work. I mean, don't listen to me on that shit. But I do know recruiting. And so I feel pretty safe that I would pass the initial sniff test here, right? And I think a lot of the coaches and resume writers that you're hearing from also have expertise and have written thousands of resumes and have successfully coached people into better jobs or whatever. So yes, that exists. And I think that's the question, the first question you have to ask. Does this person actually have a background, expertise, proven success and wins in whatever it is they're trying to advise you on? Okay? Now, there's a difference between sharing my personal anecdotes. Well, this one time I bought a house, so let me tell you all about investing in real estate. Maybe. I mean, I can certainly introduce you to a phenomenal broker. Hi, Dane. I can certainly, share my personal experience, and you could maybe glean some learnings from that or pick up some what to do, what not to do from that. But I can't tell you I'm an expert. You can follow along and you can ask me questions and I can share my personal history and my personal anecdotes with you, but it doesn't mean that I have expertise that I should be charging for. Just a thought. The second thing, okay, is this feedback. I have my notes over here and then I write it on the whiteboard. You're like, where's she looking? Is this person giving you a clear process? Okay? Can you actually follow along? And can you step by step, okay. And again, this is not a commercial, I swear to God, but networking, for example, right? I provide, and y'all can get this template. I do try to kind of tweak it for every now and again. It hasn't changed lately though. So if you have it, you're fine. But you can send an email to amy@recruitinginyourpants.com. You can put networking in the subject line, and I actually break down a specific step-by-step process, including templates on who to reach out to and what to say and why it works. It's very, very clear. It's very methodical and cut and dried and A to B to C. Okay? Now, that process isn't for everybody. If you don't like it, if it's not comfortable, if it doesn't work for you, don't do it. But the difference between something like that, as an example, and this feel good, you just gotta believe in yourself. Yeah, brother. That doesn't help anybody. I mean, are you giving me advice? Or are you hustle porning me? What's happening? Okay. So that's the second thing. Is this advice clear and specific and something that I can actually implement tomorrow to make something happen in my career or in my job search? So that's important to me. And then the final thing is, does this person have a history of, I can imagine you know what's coming. Do they have a history of success? Okay. We all start somewhere. Even career coaches, even resume writers, even the so-called influencers, we all have a first client. Okay. I started my career in recruiting knowing nothing about recruiting. When I got the call and I was talking to my employment guide rep, Remember the employment guide? Remember we used to we'd like actually put ads in newspapers and they would be printed and people would go pick them up from like newspaper machines? I do. When I got the call from my rep at the employment guide, hi Steve, haven't talked to him for like 20 years, but if you're out there, it's your fault. And he told me, you would be a great recruiter. I said, cool. What does a recruiter do? I had never heard of this before. This is the 90s. I didn't even know what this was or had no concept of search and recruiting and sourcing, and all of that was foreign to me. 22 years ago, I was the last person you should have taken recruiting advice from because I didn't know it. I had to pay my dues. I had to grow up in the trenches. I had to get some wins. I had to fall on my face. I had to make mistakes so that I could learn enough to be able to come back to you through this video series, through my blog posts, through my snarky mouth on LinkedIn, to try to give you real world examples, proven history of what works based on my expertise, and clear, specific guidelines and processes that you can follow to make your job search more fruitful. That's where I'm coming from. So it does not matter to me if you listen to me or not. It does not hurt my feelings if you ignore my advice. The only thing that hurts my feelings is when you start yelling at me in the comments. It does sting a little bit. But I know I opened myself up for it. I only have myself to blame, so it's okay. Just let me have it. So I'm not saying you should or shouldn't listen to any particular people. You are an adult. You can make that decision. I'm just suggesting that you look at it through the lens of these 3 things. Has this person, using recruiting as an example, because that's what I know, has this person actually worked in recruiting? Have they actually approved or delivered offers if we're talking compensation? Have they actually, I don't know, used an ATS and know how the damn things work? If you haven't, have they given you clear and specific processes you can follow to improve whatever it is that you need help with? And have they done this for others? Is there a history of success? Do they have recommendations? Are there people who have done the process that have reported success? These are the key things that I would ask you to think about anytime that you're vetting advice on the internet or anywhere else. I hope that helps y'all. Again, this is not a plug. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to read my content. You don't have to get my templates. I'm giving it away for free. Maybe there's no value because it's free. I don't know. I'm just saying, next time you listen to a thought leader, make sure they know what they're talking about. We'll see you next week.